Last night at the Academy Awards, Parasite won 4 big ones. And throughout history, the Academy Awards has not always given the best movie the best picture win, at least in my opinion. Of course, it's all subjective, and the films that get nominated for best picture, most of them are usually pretty good. In fact, this year, I liked all the movies that were nominated for best picture, but I saw Parasite back in November, right? And I never did a review on it. I thought about doing the review. I never did the review on it, but I want to talk about Parasite. I never did it when I saw it, but I want to talk about it now because it's coming to my attention. Not everybody's seen this movie, and it makes sense as to why. It didn't really get that much fanfare. It's not really a genre film. I feel like on this channel, many of you guys watch a lot of genre movies, superhero, science fiction, action movies. That's my audience, and that's fine because that's what I like too. In fact, my favorite movie of 2019 was not Parasite. I think Avengers Endgame is my favorite one. Now, the Academy never takes superhero movies seriously. The Joker's an exception, of course, because it's not really a superhero movie. And The Joker's actually my second favorite movie. And Endgame was my number one because of how technically amazing it was and how it moved me emotionally. And Joker was just incredible, and I'm very happy Joaquin Phoenix won Best Picture. Or, I'm sorry, not Best Picture, Best Actor. But Parasite is right up there. I think Parasite is probably my fourth or fifth favorite movie of the year. Knives Out was my number 3. I'm actually kind of irritated that Knives Out did not get the Best Picture nomination. That's right, folks. I am upset that a Rian Johnson movie did not get a Best Picture nom, but it really is that good. I want to talk about Parasite because some of y'all haven't seen this movie. So, going into Parasite, when I saw it in November, I was not sure what to expect, except that my friends told me that it's one of the best movies of the year, that's getting a lot of love among the hardcore film fans. So I was like, all right, I'll check it out. It's a foreign movie. It's in movie theaters subtitled. Did not get the kind of promotion that like a superhero movie would have gotten. Obviously, it didn't have the studios really pushing it, but it did get more of a push than many foreign films. And the reason for that's because of the theming behind the movie and what actually the movie represents, and also the story behind the movie. Going into it, I had not seen any trailers or anything. I just watched the movie, kind of ignorant, not really sure what to expect. And I thought it was actually going to be like a horror film. I expected Parasite to be a movie like Midsummer, or Midsommar, as people are now saying it's pronounced. But it wasn't. Instead, what Parasite was this really interesting and eye-opening and thought-provoking suspense thriller that has a really powerful message beneath it. I don't want to spoil the movie because some of you guys have not seen the movie, and I kind of would love to talk about Parasite in the future. I kind of want to watch it again and then really do a real deep dive, maybe even on the Geekdom 101 podcast, or maybe a Geekdom movie talk episode here on this World of Geekdom channel. But try to go into this movie not knowing anything as best you can, okay? Avoid Wikipedia, avoid conversations about the film. Go into it with an open mind, and also go into it knowing that it is a foreign film. It's not in English, but the subtitles are fine. It's not, a lot of you guys came over here from Geekdom 101, which means that y'all probably have watched subbed anime, so it's not that crazy for most of you guys. For some people, if you have bad eyesight or whatever, there might be another option out there when it comes on home video. But that being said, so this movie is deep. This film is about a family, and they start hiring people to help them out around the house. And it's about 2 families, and because I don't want to go into too much of plot, it's about 2 families who live in very different conditions. They live in very different poverty levels, very different income levels, and one family has to kind of one family has to, I don't want to insult them, but they have to scrape the bottom of the barrel to survive, by any means necessary, okay? And the thing about this movie, too, is that there really are no good guys and bad guys, even though good people do bad things. And that, to me, is really the smart, the reason why this movie won, best, all these awards, right? That the writing is incredible in this movie is because it's really powerful, because there's no real villain in the film as far as a malicious person. The families one of the families does what they have to do, you know, to get to where they have to be to survive under the best conditions. It really is a look at the human condition. And ultimately, when you take everything away from us as human beings, our main thing is to survive and survive under the best possible conditions. At the same time, it also examines, you know, a wealthier family and sort of how they, you know, aren't perfect, but they're also not bad people. And so it really, it shows sort of how there's different classes in the world of, you know, middle class, upper class, lower class. And at the end of the day, we're all kind of the same. And that was kind of the message that the movie kind of gave us, you know, or gave me anyways, that we're all the same and that not all rich people are bad people, not all poor people are good people, and vice versa, you know. And what happens in the movie, the one thing about the movie is the first sort of act of this movie, the first third or whatever, it was hard to follow for me because I wasn't really sure what was going on. Obviously, I had to get used to, you know, the characters and really focus because it is subtitled, but I had to kind of get in the zone for this movie. But once, you know, once I got in the zone and the plot starts to unravel, it starts making more and more sense. But even then, as the plot unravels, we get to a certain point in the movie where there's a big twist and then something new happens. And then as I'm watching the movie, what I think makes the movie so great is you're in a constant state of trying to figure out just what the hell's going on, but you're not like confused, if that makes sense. You're really not confused. It's not so much what's going on, it's more so where is this going? Like as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, okay, this happens, that leads to this, but now where do we go from here? Because there's a part in the movie where you kind of think that it's close to ending, and then it doesn't end, and there's a whole other part coming up, and I thought that was really interesting, and that just goes to show the power of sometimes seeing movies without being spoiled. You know, I've covered spoilers on this channel for a lot of different things, and there is something to it. People have asked me all the time, you know, do spoilers ruin a movie for you? And I've always said not really, but at the same time, there is something missing from seeing movies like this one that are really well written and have this kind of you know, developing plot. If you know what's going to happen, it takes away from the movie, you know. And that's why I hate when I yell at people and I say, dude, avoid spoilers. Oh, I already read it on Wikipedia, I'm not really interested. Execution is everything, and that irritates me. And this movie is very well executed. The directing is really that great. The movie has this sort of lighthearted tone with kind of a dark underbelly to it. And, you know, as you're watching the movie, you're just kind of wondering, okay, what is going on? What's this? What's that? Things start to make more sense. It does kind of remind me of like the classic Christopher Nolan films of the past, like, you know, the ones that have sort of these twists in them and you kind of have to retrace your steps. I love those kinds of movies. Memento, of course, being one. Inception, of course, another one that's kind of similar to that. You know, this is kind of like that, but it's not really like a twisty sci-fi type thing. It's a very realistic movie that really has a strong sort of, I don't want to say political, but I do want to say socially conscious message. Because the movie's not an American movie, it's a foreign film, so you're not going to get any kind of propaganda like you would expect. It's not that kind of politics. It's more so kind of the difference between the rich and the poor. And I like how the Joker also kind of hit that. But the reality is there aren't that many differences and that we're all people at the end of the day. You know, obviously money can change you, and the lack of money can change you and make you do desperate things that are unethical. And that's a big that is a big driving home point between those two films. I don't want to compare them. People were asking, you know, should it have won over Joker? And even though I like Joker more, I think it deserves to win over Joker because Joker's just an amalgam of two other movies. The Joker's pretty much Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy with the Joker character, right? That's a reinvented version. This movie is a totally unique story, never really been done before, but one that I think was very powerful, had a very powerful message, and one that needs to be seen. It is very much a must-see movie. It's kind of a heartbreaker in many ways. It has a very uneasy, the ending is very uneasy, but it's not, it's complex, okay? It really is a great movie. Like the fact that the director was up there just in shock that he won so many awards. I mean, it really was a great film. And I should also say that I did watch I watched Marriage Story, and I watched And I'm going to do a video about Marriage Story. Like, I have to because it's powerful. We had a pretty good Oscar season. I do think it's BS that Endgame gets robbed. I understand it's a capstone movie. It's the end of a saga. I don't like that. And I hate that the Academy Awards never give credit to these movies. But Endgame did everything that a great movie should do. Right? It did everything a good movie should do, point blank. Yeah, it's a sequel, but I mean, come on. Sequels have won before. Return of the King won before. It's not fair. There is a bias there, but that doesn't mean the movies that got nominated aren't good movies. They really are good. They really, really are quality films. And this is one of the ones where I gotta say, to my audience, I kind of know you guys. I know what you like, what you don't like. Not everybody, but I kind of have an idea. I think you'll like this movie, and it's one that you will talk about with your friends and maybe even me. Anyways, go see Parasite, and yeah. It's a great movie. I think it did deserve to win Best Picture, but really they all did because they were all great for their own reasons. Thank you for watching. Talk to you soon.